Today's episode is brought to you by Canby Foursquare Church. Since 1978, a place to grow, connect, and serve. In-person services are back with some restrictions to help ensure everyone stays safe and healthy. For the latest, visit their website at canbyfoursquare.com.
Welcome to Now Hear This Canby,
your source for news.
The threat of a possible teacher strike was avoided this week.
There's a new, irresistibly cute creature winning over fans, and its name is Scootaloo.
Sports?
It's like Lucy in the football. You want to kick a field goal, if they take it away from you.
We had to learn how to win.
Goal can't be in the last second of the game! And interesting conversations.
Because I'm one of the strongest girls ever, and I know that for a fact.
I just really enjoy writing gossip as if I was a bear.
With an old maid daughter that make the best moonshine in the coast.
And if it would have hit me in the face, I think I would have died. I really do.
I guarantee you would have died, man. Are you kidding me?
Hey friends, and welcome to this episode of Now Hear This Canby. Thank you for listening. I'm James Walton, and this is what's happening this week in our community. About 80 local leaders gathered at the first ever Canby Community Summit, hosted at the Willamette Valley Country Club by the Canby Rotary Club last week, for an evening aimed at fostering peace, understanding, and mutual respect. It invited many of Canby's movers and shakers to the table, including representatives from city government, the police department and fire district, school district, churches, civic organizations, businesses, and the news media, more than 50 different groups in all. The guest list also featured elected leaders from the Canby City Council and School Board, though organizers stressed the night would be decidedly non-political. Instead, community leaders shared a meal, some laughs, and a captivating performance by acclaimed pianist and composer Michael Allen Harrison, who has been a staple at the Canby Pioneer Chapel in recent years, particularly during the holiday season. The agenda also included some light table talk, with leaders encouraged to dialogue over questions about personal accomplishments, community values, and strategies for fostering goodwill and stronger relationships. Organizers collected highlights from these discussions and shared them at the end of the evening, pointed out common threads that emerged from the diverse collection of experiences and perspectives. Community characteristics that leaders highlighted included care for the vulnerable, a welcoming small-town feel, support for local jobs and businesses, overcoming challenges and values such as acceptance, tolerance, inclusivity, respect, and temperance. The event was not about solving all of the community's problems in one night, organizers say. It was about starting a process. No doubt some will say of this evening that we are reaching too far, and others will feel like we have come up short and haven't done enough, Canby Rotary President Ray Keene said in an address that concluded the evening's festivities. But it won't be said of us that we were unwilling to begin. Oregon Governor Kate Brown announced she received the recommended COVID-19 booster as well as a flu shot on Tuesday, the same day a U.S. Food and Drug Administration Vaccine Advisory Committee recommended emergency use authorization to begin administering the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine to children ages 5 to 11. Brown received the Johnson & Johnson jab in March of 2021, saying she wanted to allay doubts and misinformation surrounding the only single-shot vaccine of the three currently approved for use in the U.S. Studies have shown it to be less effective than the two-shot series developed by Pfizer and Moderna, and health experts now recommend J&J recipients to receive a second dose of any of the three vaccines 2 months after their jab, a strategy known as mix and match. In a statement Tuesday, Brown encouraged Oregonians eligible for the booster shot to discuss the option with their healthcare provider, calling vaccinations, quote, our way out of this pandemic. As for COVID-19 shots being offered to younger children, the FDA's Vaccines and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee on Tuesday declared in a unanimous vote that the benefits of administering the pediatric Pfizer vaccine outweighed the risks for children ages 5 to 11. The dose for this age group would be smaller, at 0.2 milliliters, than the 0.3 milliliter prescribed for adults. In addition to preventing illnesses and hospitalizations among children, the committee noted that the vaccine could address other negative impacts of the disease on children in this age group, such as mitigating the impact on school closures and helping prevent possible long-term complications of COVID-19. Oregon Health Authority will ultimately establish local state guidance and policy regarding the administration of the Pfizer vaccine to youth ages 5 to 11 in Oregon. When COVID-19 vaccines become available to younger children, OHA anticipates that they will be widely available in clinics, community health centers, and pharmacies. OHA is also working with state and local partners to make vaccines readily available at public and private schools, child care facilities, community sites, and other locations easily accessible to families and education providers. The Water Environment Federation, a national nonprofit representing water quality professionals and organizations, honored Clackamas Water Environmental Services with a prestigious 2021 Water Heroes Award to recognize the Water Environment Services response to the destructive and historic February 2021 ice storm. WES was one of only 4 agencies nationwide to receive this year's Water Heroes Award, recognizing organizations that perform duties, quote, above and beyond the usual call of duty during an emergency situation to protect the public and the environment. The storm wreaked havoc across the county and the region, including widespread power outages that affected hundreds of thousands of Oregonians and lasted 2 weeks or longer in some areas. From February 2nd through the 23rd, WES staff overcame constant power outages, dangerous conditions, and other obstacles to preserve and maintain wastewater treatment services for their nearly 200,000 customers in northern Clackamas County. Some WES staff members even slept on site to make sure equipment kept working through the night, as crews worked around the clock to keep the facilities and pump stations running. During nearly 2 weeks of weather-related challenges, WES crews responded to more than 1,000 alarms, while its 5 wastewater treatment facilities experienced power loss and 10 major pump stations operated on only standby power. Despite these obstacles, there were no sanitary sewer overflows within the WES service area, which includes the cities of Gladstone, Johnson City, Happy Valley, Milwaukee, Oregon City, West Linn, and unincorporated areas. There were also no sewage bypasses, no violations of the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit, and no missed compliance samples, officials said. Throughout the storm, WES provided status updates for state regulators, local public officials, customers, stakeholders, and the media. Cougar Country. Hometown sports coverage is brought to you by Reif and Hunsinger, PC. When you need an attorney, turn to the firm Canby has trusted for over 50 years. You can call them today at 503-266-3456. And for the latest sports news, follow us on Twitter at @CougarCountryOR. The Canby Cougar volleyball season wrapped up last week, well outside the playoff picture for the first time in several years. The Canby volleyball team fought an uphill battle throughout their entire 2021 campaign. The Cougars were missing star players Daly McClellan and Caitlin Gay, both of whom graduated earlier this year to play Division I volleyball. Losing dominant players like Daly is always tough, said Schlater, but it creates opportunities for players to step up and redefine their roles and to create a new team identity. Throughout the year, the Cougars relied on scrappy mentality to earn wins. We played hard, we played together, and we played smarter. We got to the other teams out of their system, Schlater said. We were able to dig the lights out of them and give them fits. The Cougar girls finished the season 5-17 overall with a Three Rivers League mark of 2-12. It may not be the most impressive record, but Schlater and the team know all the adversity they've been through and how far they've come. I was very proud of this team that was physically outmatched in just about every match we played, but they never backed down, Schlater said. They kept coming to the gym every day to work hard and get better. It was a pleasure to be in the gym with them. In football news, star running back Tyler Clawson has taken the league by storm in his first varsity campaign, leading 5A schools in rushing yards and fueling Canby's high-octane offense all year. And the sophomore is increasingly building a statewide reputation. The latest came on Monday as Connell was voted SB Live's WAFD Bank Oregon High School Athlete for the week of October 11th through the 17th. That week, Canby's super sophomore was the tip of the spear in the Cougars' 33-21 trouncing of number 9 Scappoose, rushing for 225 yards and 3 touchdowns. Connell received more than 36% of the more than 53,000 votes tallied in the SB Live's poll, beating out Lebanon's Waylon Wolf, who finished second with almost 29%. Connell, along with the backfield mate Bryce Oliver and senior quarterback Mikey Gibson, will face their greatest test this Friday as the Cougars host the top-ranked Wilsonville Wildcats in the final regular season game with the league title on the line. Both teams are a perfect 6-0 in Northwest Oregon Conference West play. Wilsonville is undefeated overall, with Canby's lone blemish was a 14-17 home loss to number 4 West Albany in Week 2. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. Friday at Cougar Stadium. You can't make it to the game? No worries. Catch Now Hear This Canby's Tyler Frankie and Antonio Arredondo as they broadcast the game live on local access CTV Channel 5 and YouTube.
And now, a message from Donna Ellison of Ellison Team Homes.
Hi, everyone. I wanted to take this moment to invite you personally to come and hang out with us for our end of season client event. It's a thank you to all the wonderful people we've done business with, as well as a welcome to a lot of our community. I'm doing this in partnership with Vanessa Zimmerman team at Academy Mortgage. It's just kind of our way of saying thank you. We've really enjoyed getting to know you, doing business with you, etc. We'll be outside. We're sensitive to the fact that we're in COVID, still dealing with that. So it will be spread out. People will have room to breathe and sit and walk and talk. Reckless Company, if you've never heard them before, they're awesome. They're going to be playing. We'll have TMK here. I can't wait to try the corn dog. I've been waiting like 2 years to try this corn dog. So it looks amazing, and I've heard it's amazing, and I think there's quite a following. Also, they'll have all kinds of other food. We'll have beer and cider. Everything's hosted, of course, as a thank you. Again, it's for our clients. It's for our community. We really, really want to come and celebrate. We'll have swag for you, all kinds of fun things for the kids. We hope to see you on 9/16 from 4 to 8 in the afternoon.
And welcome back to the ad sponsor section where I get to talk to people about books because I always drag Megan Waterman in here to be with me. Hi, Megan.
Hi. That's not a bad thing. Talking about books is always the best time.
I think you know of all people that I can talk about books endlessly.
I do.
Yeah. So, Megan, do you want to tell our listeners about what's going on down at the Book Nook?
Oh, at the Book Nook, we are getting ready for the holidays.
Yeah.
I know.
There's only one I care about. And by the time this ad comes out, it's basically over.
Are you talking about Halloween?
Yeah, I like spooky, scary stories.
I know you do. We've got a lot of great spooky, scary stories in right now.
Yeah, yeah.
We do, but spooky, scary stories are also good for Christmas. Do you have a favorite author that writes spooky, scary stories that are appropriate for Christmas?
You go with your classic Charles Dickens, right?
Yep.
Some Christmas Carol stuff.
Absolutely, that's my favorite.
That's the best. There's M.R. James. I know about him. He did a whole series of short short, scary stories for Christmas?
Short, scary stories? I don't know. Christmas in general is kind of scary. Depends on how many people you have to buy for.
How many people you have to cook dinner for?
Right.
Speaking of cooking dinner, Thanksgiving is coming up.
Thanksgiving is coming. We have got some beautiful cookbooks in recently, and some really cute kids cookbooks just came in if you want to start cooking with your grandkids or starting to train up your little ones to cook Thanksgiving dinner so you can just sit on the couch and watch football.
And right now is the time to go in, right?
Yes.
Because waiting until Christmas Eve for that one special book that someone wants isn't going to work out.
It's not going to be there. This year, it's no secret the last year and a half has been a little crazy for the whole world. And that is really going to affect Christmas this year. There are going to be serious stock issues this year. So get your Christmas shopping done early. We've been working really hard to get as much inventory on our shelves and in our overstock as possible so that we have what you want at Christmas time. But if you know now a title that you want to buy for somebody for Christmas, get it now.
All right.
I might not be able to get it later.
And what is all three of ours? Because we also have Amy in the studio with us. What's all three of ours this season's book recommendation?
Okay.
Amy, what's your book recommendation for this season?
The Night Before Christmas.
All right. Yeah, that's classic. Megan?
And for me, my favorite Christmas read? Oh, okay. My favorite book that's coming out it's no secret. I am an Outlander fan. I love Diana Gabaldon. There may be a cardboard cutout of Jamie Fraser in our bookstore. Book boyfriends are a thing.
Yeah.
And finally, book 9 is coming out towards the end of November. So you will not see me until I finish reading that.
And mine is the Dungeons and Dragons Feast of Legends or whatever, the table. So make sure you guys come on down to Book Nook. Megan, where are you guys located?
We are on the corner of Grant and 2nd in downtown Canby.
All right. Welcome to Canby Conversation on today's episode of Now Hear This Canby. This is probably a little bit different for you guys since I'm not Tyler Frankie, nor have I ever been as far as I know. This week I'm sitting down with some very interesting people, a couple, the Bakers of the Pacific Paranormal Research Society, or PPRS. This has been a real treat for me to sit down with them and just talk about ghosts and ghouls and spooks and all kinds of scary things. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Martina Baker.
I'm Todd Baker.
And we're the
Pacific Paranormal Research Society.
Awesome. So how was it that you guys first started getting into paranormal research and investigation?
Well, for me, I'm originally from Southern California. I was born and raised there from Monterey Park. And our house actually had a ghost in it. And he used to he was blind in life, but he died in the house. And he used to come to my room at night when I was a little girl and grab my feet, which to this day I still can't sleep with my feet outside the covers.
Still freaks you out.
That stays with me forever, yeah. But that's kind of where mine started, and so I always kind of knew there was something going on out there.
Yeah, when I was little, I grew up in southern Indiana, and when I was little, my grandmother used to tell me all these ghost stories and things that happened to her when she was younger, and that got me interested, and I've been into it ever since.
That's awesome. I mean, I can't say I've ever had a paranormal event that has ever quite stuck with me like that.
And that's really something we need to fix. I think.
I agree. I agree completely. The big thing being that you guys spent 13 years investigating and researching paranormal activity, places where there was, all kinds of crazy things were said to be done. what was it that really, I mean, you guys said you had these experiences, but what was it that said, I have to go to these scary places now, and I have to take a microphone and record what's happening?
I think that once you go somewhere, and I just want to say really quick, we did this way back before anybody was really doing this, like 2000, 2001.
Sure.
So there were no ghost shows on TV. I mean, Lloyd Auerbach was a paranormal investigator. You'd seen him at places, but it was nothing like what they have on TV and YouTube today. I mean, it's just
it's really exploded. Yeah.
But once you go out with that recorder, and when we first started, we were just using like a little reel-to-reel, and we just decided to walk through a cemetery and start talking to the tombstones, not even asking them to do anything. We just started talking to people, leaving pennies and saying hello, just to see what would happen. And we actually got our first EVP there. And didn't she say her name, Amy?
Yes, that's correct.
And she said Amy, or my name is Amy. And when we listened to that later, I was like, oh my gosh, there's actually, I mean, that was neither of us. There's no wiring here. It's just a cemetery. So somebody said something.
And once you go out and experience that and get some evidence,
you're done.
It just kind of gets a hold of you. Yeah, you just can't stop.
You want to keep researching it.
You want to learn more and more and find out exactly why they're talking to us, how they're talking to us. You know, it just goes on.
And
from
we
there.
still don't have the answer
on
how they're actually getting through to us, and how sometimes the frequency sounds weird and other times it's so clear.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you why. We don't know.
Yeah.
We still don't know.
And so we do have some EVPs that you guys have brought with you, some little treats.
We did,
but before we get into that, what would you say is like a crowning achievement of your guys' work over the past 13 years as investigators? Is it finding more evidence? Is it helping people find closure? Is it being able to say you were the first in, last out sort of thing?
No, helping people with closure with these type of issues, I think it was always very important to us.
This may sound weird, but the way we would do it, when we go talk to a living client and we're in there talking to maybe something that's, in a deceased state also, we're trying to get things relaxed.
Yeah.
It sounds stupid maybe, I don't know, like we're a paranormal interventionist, but it's kind of like that.
It is kind of like that.
And the main thing is just when you leave, you want your living client to feel like she or he has control over their environment.
Sure.
Because if you don't, then that's when the thoughts of this is an evil spirit is here.
Yeah.
Now I have to bring in the big guns and I'm going to call the priest. And what if your ghost is an atheist and it's not going to work? And now you're going to make them mad. So, I mean, you just try to give the control back to your living client and say, yes, we got something, or no, we didn't. But here's what I suggest you do if it happens again.
Try to come up with a way that they can live with these entities and deal with them to the point where it's not scaring them. I mean, if you just talk to them, a lot of times you just talk to them like a regular person. You say, at night you go into my daughter's room and you're messing with the lights. That really scares her. Could you kind of please not do that? And you'd be surprised how that works because basically they're still in the same mindset as they had when they were alive. So if you talk to them like a regular living person, that makes a big difference.
Sure. Yeah. I think a lot of it is a therapy system of like being able to work through the issues that have been brought to this place, whether it's with a living client or something else. It's still a matter of working through that closure.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Because one of the things, and people don't like it when we say this, but over the years doing this, ghosts have a choice to be where they are.
Yeah.
They don't have to be in this building or whatever. They don't have to be there.
Yeah.
Some of them don't even know they're dead, but a lot of them do.
Yeah, a lot of them do.
Because we've had EVP that says, "Yeah, we know we're dead." So like don't worry about it. So it's just kind of like you really want to calm them down. Sometimes they know they're dead, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're kind of unconscious. When you go places like hospitals and you go places like mental health facilities that are old and broken down, that's where you kind of get things that are very strange, like they're not really sure what's happened to them. So they're still in that mindset. So that's why when you see them, like a ghost, somebody that passed away in the 1800s, and she's walking around the house, you're going to see her in an 1800s dress.
Sure.
Because that is exactly how she thinks herself to be.
Yep.
Now, I'm just going to throw this out here. One of the main causes of paranormal activity to start, you might not even know you have a ghost, but one of the main thing that starts it is remodeling.
Yep.
Okay? So people start remodeling their home or adding on a new addition to their home, and all of a sudden their tools start getting stolen.
Yep.
And then the paintbrushes are gone, and they can't find what they were looking for, and their keys are gone. This happens constantly, all the time.
It's almost like you're with these ghosts, you're punching a hole in their reality, and you're like, hey, wait a minute, everything was just the way I remember it, the way I like it. You're moving stuff around and changing it. I don't like this.
Yeah.
So that's,
Yeah, so that's when you kind of come in and say, look, you can stay here. I think we can't get rid of ghosts.
No, they're not going to leave unless they want to.
You become a paranormal mediator more than
exactly.
Pretty
That's
much.
exactly right. Yeah.
And yeah, you can't say, be gone, and the ghost is going to look at you and say, well, he's going to give you the bird, basically. I'm not going anywhere.
Sure.
I mean, some clients, we tell them, it's like if they're trying to be helpful, give them a job. Say, you know what? If you want to do something, how about turn the lights off every night at a certain time or something? Give them something to do, make them feel like they're wanted and they're part of the family, and that can make a big difference.
We had that one that tried to fix her dish. What was it? Her
washing machine. Yeah.
And he messed it up, and he ripped like the whole.
They had to
thing
buy a
off.
new washing. He thought he was a mechanic, I guess, or a handyman, and ended up tearing up the washing machine.
She
literally.
was so freaked out. She goes, I know he's here, but he tried to do something with my broken washing machine. It's a total mess. I'm like, man. I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah.
So let's dive into some of these EVPs. The first one that you guys had me pull was something that you've labeled as like looking a time.
Like looking at me.
Oh, at me. Sorry, I see it now. Looking at me. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, do you care to explain this before we listen to it?
Sure.
Yeah.
We had a friend that lived in I'm not going to name the apartment complex.
We'll just say it's in the Rose Quarter.
Yeah,
that's all we
in
can
that
say.
area.
Yeah.
And he was saying he had some kind of weird things happen in there. And it was one of those old time buildings where all the apartment and the doors are like inside the building.
Yeah.
And it used to be a nursing home for a while.
It was a nursing home. It was a mental hospital. And for a while in the 70s, the building was taken over by the Hells Angels, and they were running drugs out of it, believe it or not. Yeah, yeah.
But now it's a very nice apartment complex. So he had some weird things. So he said, hey, can you come by and just kind of, just see what you find?
Sure.
And so we had actually walked around for a bit in the complex. We were in his apartment when this happened. He had closed the door.
Yeah, and he said that she likes to open the door and come in.
We sat down. I had the recorder on the coffee table, and the door opens. And I just say, I just feel like she's standing there looking at us.
Sure.
So I said, yeah, you're right. We're all looking at you. And I kind of laughed and looked at everybody because everybody's wide-eyed like a deer, in the headlights. And I said, just act casual. And I'm kind of laughing. And she starts making this sound. It's a sound like someone's pulling a chair across the wall.
It sounds like almost like electronic.
It's
very like a popping
electronic
sound
to me. And then from that sound, she says, "You're trying to talk to me."
Okay. So we'll bring that in and we'll listen to that right now.
Okay, yeah, you're right. They're all looking at you. Act casual.
All right, now we're recording again. So that's creepy.
And it's very clear.
It's clear, but it does. She does. It's weird, that sound in the background. We didn't hear any of this.
That popping sound. I'm gonna play it one more time just for our listeners.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, you're right. They're all looking at you. Act casual.
You can definitely catch it right there at
right
the end,
right.
as you've said. Act casual. You can hear that kind of whispery sound of, they're all looking at me, sort of thing.
She's saying something else in that. I don't know exactly what she says before she says.
Yeah, all you can make out is
it's too crackling, but Yeah, and that crackling sound, she does say something else.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is. But anyway, that's one of our creepier ones.
Yeah, that's pretty creepy.
You like that?
And the fact that
how would you feel if you were there and that happened?
I mean, you don't hear them while they're there, right?
No. Well, sometimes you do.
Sometimes. This case we didn't.
We didn't.
We saw the door open, but we didn't actually hear it.
I mean, I don't know how I'd feel. Honestly, I'd love to be there and see and experience it myself. I think anybody would. But yeah, and it's hard, it's hard for me to be like, oh yeah, that's definitely a voice, but I don't discredit that you guys had an experience.
Be somebody sitting there,
just whispering.
Right. If you weren't actually there, exactly. You don't.
I get it.
Really hard.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
You've got another one here labeled, trying to talk to me.
And this is from the same building.
Okay.
Yes.
Any setup for this one? Or?
Just left in a hallway where, outside of, one of the apartments that he said that someone had killed themselves.
Committed suicide. Yeah.
I know that sounds a little morbid.
Yeah. So it's just you just left this recorder just sitting there.
I said some words and I left the recorder and I walked away.
Yep.
All right, let's listen to that.
Here, if you want to talk to me.
All right, so that was even more terrible.
Really love that one.
That one's like very clear that is someone talking.
I mean, I just love it when they actually come out and answer me when I walk away, because I tried to say, if you want to say anything, here you go, and are you
sometimes
okay?
you get answers, and to your question, sometimes you just get random sentences, random words. You just never quite know what you're going to get.
So that's a really good one.
Let's try to do that.
Here, if you want to talk to me.
I mean, that legitimately sounds like you just had someone sitting off to the side.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
The idea that isn't someone sitting there talking into the microphone.
See, and this is the thing that I think like I said, I've heard, but people have told me more kind of recently is these have to be fake because they're so clear. I'm telling you,
they're not.
I don't
fake.
even know how to do that.
We don't alter anything that we get.
I'm
Pictures,
so old school.
audio, nothing.
I could barely figure out how to put it on the jump drive.
Yeah.
I mean, so I can't do this.
Yeah, we would never fake anything. It's all 100% real. What you're hearing is what we got.
We've got a few more here. Yeah. That's me in the tub.
Okay, so the reason I wanted to play this one is this one kind of is funny to me because he actually shows it's an accent. And the interesting thing is that the ghost was leaving the female of the house in this residence pesos.
Yeah, old pesos.
Old Mexican coins from Mexico.
Yeah.
And he was leaving them for her. And she had an experience with him one night when she was alone and inside the tub. Okay. Now, she didn't tell me about this until after I brought up the fact that he said something about this EVP. And she goes, oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you what happened when I was in the tub. So, and we're not going to go into that because it was very upsetting to her. And,
wow.
I don't blame her. But when we were in the bathroom, he said it right up. And he says, that's me inside the tub.
All right, let's take a listen to that.
That's me. The other side of the top.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of feedback on that. It's kind of hard to hear, but let's play it again real quick so that our listeners might be able to catch it now. You can hear it behind all that.
That's me. The other side of the top.
Yeah. And I'm guessing this is another one that you guys didn't hear on the spot?
That's correct.
That's correct.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
I walked into the bathroom. I was in their master bedroom and walking through the bathroom, and I was over by the tub, and that's where we caught it. And when I brought that up to her about he's saying something about inside the tub, and she kind of said, "Oh yeah, there was that." I don't think she wanted to bring it up before, but
yeah, she was having a lot of issues when her husband traveled a lot on business.
She was by herself,
and she was by herself, and he, let's just say, paid quite a bit of attention to her.
Yeah, he was leaving her money.
Yeah.
It was a very weird situation, and I'm just going to stop right there.
Yeah. So let's get into the next one. This one is about someone who loves blonde women. Seems like.
Well, no, he doesn't. You'll hear me teasing him. We were walking down the stairs, and I left the recorder upstairs. This isn't a business, and I think it was a restaurant actually.
Yeah,
right?
bar restaurant.
Yes,
restaurant.
Yeah. And so I'm just kind of giving him, just talking to him, and I say, "We love you," like just teasing, and he does not like the color of my hair.
Oh, okay, all right. So let's go ahead and play this one real quick. it's right there at the edge too.
Wow, blonde hair.
Yeah. Let's see if I can adjust that at all for our listener on the fly here. Let's play it again. It should be a little bit when his voice comes in. Black blonde hair.
Blonde hair.
Yeah.
I guess he wants the redhead.
Or brunettes. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, my blonde hair.
Yeah, he was not a fan.
No, he didn't like me at all.
Wow, yeah.
And it used to be a brothal up there.
Actually that
kind of
it used to be a brothel.
Yeah. So he had his taste and he was going to stick to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
How about this one? This one has a very terrifying title to it.
No, it doesn't. Get my rifle. Come
Yeah,
on now.
get my.
We're all for
I
guns
do
right
not.
here, aren't we?
First of all, afraid of guns. Second of all, afraid of ghosts. You put those two things together, ultimate terror factor.
What? This
so
was at a house in Sublimity.
Yeah, private
and we
residence.
got a lot of EVP at this house.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of them that just considered they were part of the family, and we had the recorder running just one night. And we were having coffee with them downstairs, and she was putting her kids to bed. This isn't the EVP I brought, but when we got him, she's saying, "I love you" to the kids, and you hear him go, "I love you too."
I love you too.
Oh wow.
He was saying, yeah.
He totally thinks he's part of the family. Now,
Nice.
where she comes from in this house, I have no idea. But this is one of the ones we got when we leave it up in their stairs and walk down and just leave it going.
And it's just all
It's
right.
just what it is.
Yep.
You almost hear a laugh at the end of it.
Yeah, she's laughing.
She's very pleased with herself.
Kind of a diabolical
It
little
is.
laugh.
You're right.
Yeah.
It is like, get my rifle.
let's
I'd shoot you if I could.
That's fine though to hear someone say that and they're not even there.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, that's creepy, man. How do you guys respond to stuff like that when you're listening back to this stuff?
I started laughing, actually. I've been called every name in the book. I've got the B word, the F word. Let's just go, whatever.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that just kind of was like, well, first of all, I'm like, who is that? Why,
Yeah, and even the residents, they didn't know who she was. They knew who the guy was, but they didn't know who she was.
Interesting. And this last one that we have, it is, I think, the title of a children's book that you guys are writing, it looks like.
Would you like that? Yes.
The Children's Paranormal Investigation book.
Timmy and the Paranormal, right?
There you go. I'm about to have a kid. I'd buy it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, maybe we should write a book.
There you go. So this is entitled Kids Room Choo Choo. Is that it? Choo Choo
Train. Car. So
the story behind this is very interesting.
It's very interesting. This woman had some issues. Her little boy, he was autistic, and he was always telling her about playing with another little boy named Sam. And of course, there was stuff that went on in the house, but Sam was like his really good friend.
And he said Sam loved to play with trains.
So I went up to the kid's room with him. I don't remember his name, the little boy.
I don't remember either.
But he said, let's see if we can get Sam to come and play with us. This is his favorite toy. I said, well, let's get it out. So we're on the floor playing with fire engines and trains. He's bringing the train out, and I had the recorder going the whole time. I never said to anybody, "Is anybody here? Talk to me." I didn't do that. I just set the recorder down, and I'm playing with the little boy. And as I'm playing with him, this comes out.
All right, let's listen to that. Here we go. All right, second. All right, so that was kind of hard to make out. Can you guys explain what we're listening to?
He's saying choo-choo car because we were playing with his favorite train at the time.
All right, let's take another listen to that. Okay, I could definitely hear it that time. That choo car sort of sound.
It's a little unnerving to get a child's voice on EVP. Those are a little tough.
You want to say what terrifies me? Those are the hardest.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, because there's no reason why a child should be stuck between this world and the next. There just isn't.
Right.
And I don't know how that, how that can be remedied, but it's upsetting.
Yeah,
to me, that's the most upsetting thing. Adults make their decisions, but why a child is here, I don't know what happens.
Yeah. And with that awesome, fun Halloween note, I wanted to thank you guys for coming and sharing all this stuff with us.
Trick or treat!
Yes,
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes,
genuinely a treat for us to, I know Cameron, our editor, and I, we're big fans of Paranormal Research, and it's cool to meet people who, it's not just a fad. You didn't just jump on it to, be like the cool guys on the Travel Channel. That's a joke. They're not cool. And
that's right.
You guys are
pretty good in a leather jacket, but I'll give you that.
I don't know about that. But you guys are genuinely interested in this because it's something that you're interested in doing, and you've had your own experiences. Is there anything that you want to, just kind of sign off with our audience with, let them know about?
I would actually. One of the things that we do is we like to separate ghosts and spirits, and that sounds like they're the same thing, but they're not. So a lot of people will say, hey, my grandfather came to visit me, and then I found out he had passed away. We call that the spirit of your grandfather when he's coming to say goodbye. Your grandfather is not a ghost, okay? Ghosts are people who have stayed here for one reason or the other. And a spirit is somebody who can come and visit you at any time. They've gone to where they're supposed to go.
Yep.
And they can come over and leave you things or visit with you or come in your dreams. This is important to me because so much stuff you see on TV today is all evil and demonic. And the more you think about things like that happening, then the spirits of your relatives and people you miss are not going to come and visit you, okay? You have to not have that fear. So
yeah, if you're afraid, they won't come to see you.
Put it out there. Creepiness is fun. But just be aware of what you're watching and realize that the TV shows are entertainment, okay? Sure. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they're bad, but they're entertainment, okay? And so people always say, how can I get my mother or my father or my relatives to come visit me? Just talk to them. They hear everything you say.
And also remember, the paranormal is subjective. Everybody is going to have a little different experience based on their life experiences and their beliefs. So just because somebody says, oh, my experience is a little different, don't ever say, oh, well, then it's not real. Everything is subjective with the paranormal, so always take that into account.
That's exactly
wonderful.
Right.
Awesome.
And I just wanted to put that out there because I think it's important for people to remember their ancestors. And I just wish that they weren't so afraid to have them come and visit because I know that they would love to.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I'm so glad you guys came in. So glad to nerd
so
out all over this scary stuff.
Yay!
So happy that people in Canby are into this as much as I am.
Well, we'll find out, right?
Yeah.
If I start getting beamed by oranges at Fred Meyer, I'm going to know.
Yeah, you'll know.
And we need to get you out there and get you experience some real paranormal activity.
I'm telling you.
I don't believe, but I want to believe. I am Fox Mulder or whatever. I want to believe. So there's that. And to you guys, happy Halloween. Stay safe and warm in the cold months that are about to come. And thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Hey, Frankie, what are you doing?
I'm trying to figure out which TV option I want to use when DirectLink turns off their video services in January of next year. It's so confusing. Do you know there's about 48 million streaming services to choose from? Which devices do they work on? What channels do they offer?
No, I did not know that. But you do realize that you're probably better off than you think. If you have DirectLink's Easy Video TV now, you're already using a streaming service. But listen, you don't have to go this alone. DirectLink is actually helping their members transition to their next video provider. The company has an extensive informational website where you can compare popular services, and they host live tutorials on streaming TV options to help you decide.
Well, hold the phone. Are you saying that they're actively trying to help their members switch to a competing service? Who does that?
Well, DirectLink does. I mean, I guess it's one more chapter in their long history of wanting the best for our community. They've actually offered free classes for the past 12 years that teach our neighbors about the latest technology and internet security practices. And don't forget, they also orchestrated that popular bingo game last year that helped keep everyone entertained and connected during the lockdowns. They've also launched special programs to help keep our students connected at home during the pandemic and partnered with the city of Canby to give free Wi-Fi year-round at 3 local parks for locals and visitors alike.
Wait, DirectLink does all that?
They do indeed, and that's on top of providing the best and most reliable internet and voice services in town. So, to learn more about DirectLink services or how they can help you transition to the right video service for your home, visit directlink.coop today.
Are you a healthcare hero? Do you want to become one? Are you looking for a position where you are valued, your time is your own, and you have ample opportunity for growth? Marquee Companies at Hope Village in Canby, Oregon offers all of that and more. They are currently hiring nurses, caregivers, CNAs, and enrolling students in their free CNA course. From competitive wages and up to $25,000 tuition reimbursement to flexible schedules and the opportunity to make a positive impact on someone's life, Marquee at Hope Village is the right place for you. Take your career to the next level and apply now to become a valued team member at Marquee at Hope Village in Canby. To learn more or apply today, text CURRENT, that's CURRENT, to 888-906-3432.
Hey friends, warning. The following story is not suitable for children. Viewer and listener discretion advised. It contains the details of the Molalla Forest Murderer, scenes from about 30 years ago, and it contains elements of extreme sexual, physical, and psychological violence. Viewer and listener discretion advised. Canby Then is brought to you by Retro Revival. They are not your average antique shop. They're open daily, and you can find them on the corner of Northwest 3rd and Grand Street in downtown Canby, or connect with them on Facebook or through email at retrorevivalOC@gmail.com. On August 31st, 1987, Everett Banyard, 46, a crossbow hunter in pursuit of prey on a private 90,000-acre timber farm southeast of Molalla, Oregon, nearly stumbled over the nude, partly buried body of a young woman. Over the next 5 days, searchers from the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office and a local Explorer Scout post would find 6 more decomposed bodies, all women, all nude, all, as it turned out, prostitutes from the Portland area, along the same hillside, less than 100 yards from each other. Authorities were soon calling the Molalla Forest Murderer the worst serial killer in Oregon history. Little did authorities know that the person who would later be convicted of the 7 murders was at that very moment sitting in the Clackamas County Jail, charged with the unrelated stabbing death of a Portland prostitute in a restaurant parking lot. Dayton Leroy Rogers, 33 years old when his bloodlust neared its peak, was fearsomely known to many of Portland, Oregon's prostitutes as Steve the Gambler. He would later say the violence first manifested in the form of a headache, inflicting on him a splitting, blinding white pain. Once he claimed that he could only be alleviated by the sight of another's pain, the sounds of her anguish, or ultimately the spilling of her blood. Dayton seemed personable enough on the surface, as long as he wasn't in the midst of one of his mood swings. He was well known in the small communities of Woodburn and Canby, where he was living at the time of his arrest in 1987, and people seemed to like him. A mechanic by trade, a skill he had learned in prison, Dayton ran a successful small engines repair business, was married, and even had an 18-month-old baby boy who friends said was his mirror image. Few people saw the cold evil that lay beneath the friendly veneer, and many of those who were unlucky enough to witness his dark side firsthand did not live to talk about it. Dayton's headaches seemed to worsen during the summer of 1987, and for that reason he was away from home much of the time. He claimed that he was working at his shop during his absences, which ranged from a few hours to all night. His wife, Sherry, saw little reason at first to doubt him. When she would call to check up on him in the early evening, he usually answered the telephone. On the occasions that he didn't, he always had an excuse. He would explain that he had been in the middle of a project and hadn't wanted to leave it to pick up the phone. Or, more commonly, he would tell Sherry that he had gone out to get coffee, perhaps a bite to eat, anything that would convince her he was only taking a break to get away from the shop for a while. Although she began to hear stories about him frequenting the local taverns and bars, She tried very hard to maintain the faith that she always had in him. She might have become suspicious of his activities sooner if only she had taken the trouble to check the mileage on his pickup. He put more miles on the truck in a single week than most people drive in a month. On August 7th, 1987, by 1 a.m., the man who called himself Steve the Gambler was back on Union Avenue, which was known as Portland's Prostitute Row, looking for some kinky action. After a short cruise, he stopped a blonde near the corner of Northeast Union Avenue and Wygant Street. He recognized her as a hooker he'd picked up before during the Rose Festival earlier that year. He pulled over and invited her inside. Recognizing him as a former customer, the woman didn't hesitate. She was Jennifer Lisa Smith, 25 and a mother of 2, and she would be his final victim. Sometime prior to 3 a.m., they pulled into the parking lot of a Denny's restaurant on the 16,200 block of Southeast McLaughlin Boulevard in Oak Grove. With the taverns and bars having just closed, business was brisk there. It was the only restaurant open in the area at that time in the morning. James Dalkey, 50, had just arrived at the Denny's when she heard a woman screaming, "Help me! Help me! Please help me! Rape! I'm being raped!" In the darkness, he ran towards two shapes that appeared to be a man and a woman struggling with each other. After his eyes adjusted to the darkness of the parking lot, Dalkey could not believe what he saw. He arrived on the scene to find a naked woman lying on the parking lot in her own blood. Charles Gates, a handicapped customer, was already there. "My God, he slit her throat!" exclaimed Gates, falling from his wheelchair. Experienced in first aid and emergency medical treatment, Gates noted the woman was not breathing and would not respond to questions. Finding no cardioid pulse and undaunted by all the blood, he immediately began CPR and mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, but to no avail. Smith had been stabbed no fewer than 11 times in the chest, back, and abdomen. A couple of minutes later, Dalkey spotted the man he'd previously seen by the nude victim. "That's him!" he shouted. "That's the son of a motherfucker!" The man jumped into his pickup, running over landscaping to escape the parking lot onto Southeast McLaughlin. By that time, 2 other bystanders, Stan Connor and Richard Bergio, had rushed over to see what was happening. Determined not to let the guy get away, Bergio sped out of the parking lot in his own car in hot pursuit of the pickup, at times at speed of over 100 miles an hour. Unable to keep up, Bergio took down the license plate number and returned to the crime scene. A short time later, Clackamas County Sheriff's detectives John T. Turner and Mike Machado arrived at the crime scene. After being briefed on that morning's events, Turner took the license plate number and found the registered owner was Dayton Leroy Rogers, whose home was listed in the 10,500 block of South Hines Road in Canby. Detectives found the man not at home but at his shop. After a cursory glance around outside, they knocked on the door until a man with bloodshot eyes answered. Smelling of alcohol, the man identified himself as Dayton Rogers. He had a bandage on his hand, which he claimed was because he had accidentally cut himself with a hacksaw earlier. He said he had been at the shop all night drinking bourbon and strawberry mixer. But when officers asked why the hood of his truck was hot to the touch, he admitted he had driven to the Willamette Falls Hospital for treatment of his wounded hand. Of course, the truck and the license plate number were a perfect match to the vehicle. Numerous witnesses had said they saw leaving the scene of the murder just a couple of hours earlier, and Rogers was taken into custody. As detectives later probed deeper into Rogers' background, they learned that he had been in and out of jail for a variety of reasons, including parole and probation violations, and for kidnapping a local prostitute. All in all, the detectives learned Rogers spent 27 months in Oregon prisons. His parole was formally terminated in January 1983. One prostitute told detectives that Rogers had a foot fetish and found women's arches sexually arousing. Other prostitutes said that all of the dates occurred in the cab of Rogers' pickup, and that he usually began by drinking crude screwdrivers crafted from mini bottles of Smirnoff vodka and orange juice bought from a convenience store. While prosecutors and detectives were building their case against Rogers, Everett Bernard was making his gruesome discovery on the Molalla River forest. All 6 murders would eventually be tied to Rogers, whose modus operandi was to pick up prostitutes and take them to secluded areas to commit his heinous crimes. Smith had been the one who'd almost gotten away. In his first trial, which he was charged for the murder of Smith, Rogers pleaded not guilty but was sentenced to life in prison. He had later claimed self-defense, saying the victim had held a knife to his throat prior to his killing her. He was found guilty and sentenced to death after his subsequent trial for the slayings of 6 Molalla Forest victims: 23-year-old Lisa Marie Mock, 26-year-old Maureen Ann Hodges, 35-year-old Christine Lotus Adams, 20-year-old Cynthia DeVore, 26-year-old Nandance Nani Cervantes, and 16-year-old Riatha Giles. Both trials featured grueling accounts by several surviving victims who testified to Rogers' taste for bondage and torture, facts corroborated by the injuries inflicted on the murdered women, some of whom who had their feet cut off, possibly while still alive. Now 68, he currently sits on Oregon's death row at the Oregon State Penitentiary.
Tyler, did you know that the Australian lyrebird can mimic any sound that it hears, even chainsaws?
No, that's super interesting.
Did you know that a baby puffin is called a puffling? Or that baby sea otters can't swim, so their moms wrap them up in pieces of kelp until they learn how to paddle?
Wait, do you know any trivia that isn't like animal related?
Not really, but here's some stuff you may not know about the Wild Hare Saloon, where Canby goes to eat and have fun.
Okay.
The Wild Hare is one of Canby's longest running locally owned restaurants. Owners Joan and Darren Moden have been in business for 16 years.
That's cool.
Heck, you were just a baby back then.
Wait, what?
And they love to give back. They've been members of the Canby Chamber for that long, and they donate over $20,000 to local sports, FFA programs, and civic organizations each year.
Wow, I'm legitimately caught off. That's cool.
Yeah. They also support more than 30 jobs in the community through their award-winning staff, some of them as young as 18. Hey, that's older than you are.
Dude, I'm 10 months younger than you.
With the days getting longer and the weather getting warmer, the Canby Wild Hare's expansive outdoor patio is the place to be. Furry friends welcome.
Well, that sounds great. I'm going to go check them out just off of Highway 99E next to the Space Age in Canby at 1656 Beaver Creek Road in Oregon City, or on their website at thewildharesaloon.net. Now Hear This Canby is produced by me, Tyler Clawson. Our content director and star reporter is Tyler Frankie. And of course, our show is edited by Cameron Clawson. We also feature the vocal talents of Joyce Struby and James Walden. So a round of applause to them. The song that you're hearing right now is Canby by singer-songwriter Olivia Harms, used with her permission. To find more work from her, you can visit her website, olivia13.com.
Now Hear This Canby is dedicated to preserving independent local journalism and redefining local news with our fun, fresh, and energetic brand of storytelling. Our sincere thanks to our local sponsors who make this show possible. Please show your appreciation by supporting the small businesses who support us.
The production of Now Hear This Studios, Canby's locally owned full-service audio, video, and media production company. Our mission is to produce the best content in the universe, and we'd love to help you do it. Find us online at nhtstudios.com.
I will take a motion to adjourn.
I just moved it.
I didn't even ask for it, though.